Now see what happens if you try to do it.
You go ahead if you've got to start.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another uh, uh, one of our. Okay, work, Terry. I think so. Anyway, good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of our Carl Cangelosi webinar series. This morning, Terry will be presenting on the topic of handling high maintenance clients. I do have a few announcements. There is one CLE credit available for today. If you registered, please. I have to do them by hand. Michelle and I are doing them by hand right now. So at the end of the session today, I will give you a code. And if you send me an email with that code, we will send you the form to fill out and complete. And please just be patient with us because Michelle and I are trying to do this. And it's not as easy as one might think. And we also have full-time jobs and other things to do. In addition to that, if you have any questions about today's presentation, Terry will be taking questions at the end of the session, the last 10 or 15 minutes. So please put your questions in the Q&A. I will be monitoring the Q&A. And if you don't get it into the Q&A, I will give people an opportunity to raise their hands and ask questions verbally at that time. I want to take a minute to remind everybody that that on May 3rd, Friday, May 3rd, the NJAPM will be presenting its 9th annual Civil and Divorce Mediation Seminar from 9:30 to 4 o'clock. It will be online only. There will not be an in-person option. The chairs are Anju Jasani and Catherine Newcomer. It will be a day of excellent information. There'll be breakouts between the civil and the divorce at some point during the day. There'll be a program on ethics and refining your networking pitch. For more information, check out the website, and please don't forget to register for that seminar. Also, next month, we will continue our webinar series on Monday, April 15th. It's a wonderful day for those in the accounting business and the tax business because the next day they get off for a while. So Monday, April 15th will be 5 questions you always wanted to know about civil mediations presented by Margie, Glenn, and Linda. You all know them. Margie is our vice president, and Glenn and Linda are our directors. They have an excellent program ready to present. And then there'll be another one of our series in May and another one in June. And then we will take off for the summer and come back again starting in September. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Terry, turn my video and my microphone off, and looking forward to hearing what you have to say, Terry. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Thank you, everyone, for taking your time to spend with us. Hope that some of the information is very helpful. The program is being recorded. We're not sure how to retrieve them at this moment, but if you, I do have a couple slides with lots of information. And due to the limitation of time, I'm not going to go through every detail. My email address and phone number are here. So if I can help you with anything, please feel free to reach out. Okay. Every time I go on, it's a little different. There we go. We all have people in our lives that can be somewhat difficult, or we call them drama kings, drama queens. In any event, there's always a number of different reasons. But when we are working, we need to realize that they're part of life. How we handle them, or even making a decision to handle them at all, is an important part of being able to make sure your practice runs well. There I am, Terry Antoniewicz, and the contact information for me. I am not a psychologist, although I do have a lot of psychology background training. And my first professional job was an educator. You tell me if you've got 1,000 kids a week that you don't learn something about people and how to handle things, especially when the kids had gone through 7 art teachers in 3 years. We managed to turn things around, and kids had awards from all around different national contests. I'd say we worked it out. I was also the family wrangler, oldest of 7, a mom who was sick all the time, gave me opportunities to learn a lot about life early. I have my post PhD in SHK. My family is very, very gifted with intelligence, lots of talents. Somehow they were shortchanged greatly in the psychology department. Mental health is not one of their strongest features. So what I'm sharing with you is not theory, it's actual experience. Feel free to modify it, ignore it, share it, whatever you need to do. But I think you'll find some of the information just really good common sense. We all know people want to be at the front of the bus, the back of the church, and the center of attention. And we all know those people who stand near the center of attention. That's the focus of our program today. And the program is also to help you identify those behaviors, not diagnose them, just identify them, understand a bit of what they are, to look at yourself and see if there are triggers that keep you from working with the people well. Maybe you can learn a few things to work better. Maybe you need to walk away from those people. In any event, again, helpful information. The idea is to be proactive versus reactive. Reactive, you're generally trying to recover, trace steps back, redo things. Being proactive actually allows you to handle the situation a lot easier. And please, you are not required to be the therapist for your client. You are in a business relationship, and the hints here hopefully will make it easier for all of you. We've all met that charmed person. He walks through or she walks through the room, and then all of a sudden you feel steamrolled. You feel your feet are dangling over the lagoon and your toes are they're not getting nibbled on, they're getting bitten off. Have you worked with a person where you wouldn't believe a single word that comes off their tongue, even if their tongue were notarized? I think I heard a little bit of laughter there. There's also the person who comes in with the emotional blackmail. My way or the highway. They're driving the bus, you're not going to in their mind. We've all had the drama queens. Oh, you just don't understand. And they're carrying on. And they have so practiced, they have the Oscar to go with it. It might be like a high maintenance car, high strung. They require lots of hand holding. They're vacillating between crisis and absolute magniloquence. Good word. Check it out with the thesaurus or the dictionary. We also have that person who's the Budinsky. They know it all, even though they've never practiced in mediation. So the drama queen for the day, they're always looking for the prize. Actually, they've had it for a lifetime already, unless they want to change. Also beware the person who seems relatively calm, easy to get along with, until there's a bit of confrontation or disagreement. Then they start going around acquiring allies. It's like they're building an army to go against you to make sure that they show you're right. And that's another type of personality that can be very difficult. I'm right all the time. You're never right. We had a great speaker in the fall at our conference on narcissism. Disarming the Narcissist was by Wendy Bihari. So if you've gotten the book and you haven't opened it yet, please, if you're having a hard time with someone who's high maintenance, we're not diagnosing they're narcissists, but there's some really helpful hints in there. And the winner is the Tinkerbell from Hell. That's the client we're trying to avoid right now, or at least contain so that you can have a win-win situation in your business relationship. Please remember, I have been on the retail level, the wholesale level. I have owned 3 academies, dealt with customers directly. The customer is not always right. If it is, then there's no win-win on both sides. If something's going wrong, it's an opportunity to sit down, discuss, and regroup, put yourself back on track. If the customer is always insisting they're right, you might want to rethink having them for a client. Drama is caused by a misuse of conflict energy. Conflict energy in itself is not bad. Conflict energy can help open up dialogue. It can help clarify things. But drama is, for the most part, caused by some kind of childhood trauma. And how that person can define it is so different from person to person. One person can have a hangnail and it's the end of the world. The next one can see a terrible car accident and they pick up and they move on. It's a whole bunch of things I'm studying. I'm working towards a degree in childhood trauma, not to have a practice, but to verify or to put a few initials behind my name for something that I passionately am aware of and work on. So I said this would be in different parts. Your self-evaluation. If you are an idealist, do you find yourself rescuing everyone? You're there to help everyone out. You're picking up every puppy and kitten off the street too. Are you a people pleaser? Children who have gone through childhood trauma often are people pleasing and often have a difficult time setting boundaries. Have you been put into the superhero category and you feel you need to maintain that image to everyone? Are you just someone who's addicted to following dramatic situations? I've had clients who would love to hear some of my family stories, and I realized that was not really productive. It was time to go in a new direction. And again, have you experienced childhood trauma? It doesn't mean you can't handle things. Just being aware of the triggers will help you to work more efficiently with someone who is a drama royal. Second, you need to do a client evaluation. We don't have to put titles. Again, we're not diagnosing, but in our gut, we tend to know when we come across people like this who are constantly bringing attention to themselves for one reason or another. We could go, the list is longer than this, but I think this really highlights the basic types of personalities we run into. On the right-hand side, these are diagnosed situations. They are beyond our ability to we don't want to be working in therapy, but if you want to find out something about them and learn and be able to work with them, do a little background on each of these or be aware where you need to walk away. We can't be all things to everyone. Some of the types of maintenance that high maintenance people need, the emotional support. They're constantly calling you, emailing you. They just left a message 15 seconds ago and they'll exclaim, "You never get back to me," very quickly. Some just can't handle money. Others are absolute perfectionists. Then there's the martyr syndrome. I did all this for this person, and you've probably heard it in your mediation hearings. I did this for them and they don't appreciate it. And look what they're doing to me now. Well, here's a nice line for them. We don't hand out brownie points for martyrs. We work with people who want to have a successful end result of our hearing. We've all had these. I don't want to dump on you, but wah, wah, wah. No, I don't want you to dump on me. When you want to talk in a civil way, come back and talk with me. This is a long list. Again, either if we can find the recording, but going online over the past 5 or 6 years and researching this material, there's a lot of consistent things. Feel free to go to psychological based. Use your head. Maybe it works for you. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's off the wall, but sometimes off the wall things work for certain situations. Do know that the traits, if they're condescending, demanding, they're absolute rule breakers, they are fabulists, they are creating their own truths. If there's frequent change in jobs or friends, non-compromiser, a catastrophizer, those are signs of people that are going to be a handful to work with. There are many causes for it. Again, the causes are not for us to diagnose. It's just to understand a little bit better and maybe help us find a way to work in a way that brings out the best in these people who are difficult. Other identifying behaviors, we know the person that comes in, walks in on an ongoing conversation and takes it over completely, and it's all about them. The straitjacket client, they come in, they sit down, they sit with a rod up their backside, and they don't contribute anything. The spiritual vampire, they just suck all the energy out of the room. The drama magnet, the judgmental jackass, to put it in plain English. They know everything, they judge everything, and if you're not doing it their way, you are just not a good person. The liar and the tank, the one that steamrolls over everything. Positive use of your conflict energy is a way to move forward to help make your work situation and your business situation aim for a win-win. First of all, trust your gut. That's a primitive early warning system. But don't rely on that, because that's emotion setting it off and loading your system with adrenaline. And I think most of us have learned by now that if we overload the brain and the system with adrenaline, the brain shuts down. So make sure that your brain is part of the equation here. Use the gut as the alarm system, use the brain to work with facts and remove the emotions. Be aware of them, but work with emotions. Also use it to evaluate the situation. Is this one you want to get into? Is it going to be worthwhile in a monetary form? Doesn't always have to be monetary. Sometimes the opportunity to help you grow in experience can be the bigger challenge for you. On the other hand, if it is something that is going to just drain you of all your energy, sometimes the best thing to do is to pass on a client. I had a valuable lesson from a dear friend who was just starting a business. I was helping out at a store when they had a family emergency, and the client came in and berated me for not knowing everything. I didn't know the business. I came in as a friend to keep the doors open. We don't trust people who don't know what's going on. When the friends came back and I said, John, I think I lost a customer. What do you mean? You? What happened? Well, she didn't trust me and she walked out. He said, Terry, we don't need every customer. It wasn't until later when I had a big calligraphy job come in that wanted to be done over a 3-day holiday weekend. And the one client was controlling every way and telling me how to do calligraphy. How many of you can do calligraphy? How many of you would dare to tell an experienced calligrapher how to do the lettering? Maybe colors, maybe a design, maybe you choose the materials you're going to work with, but you do not tell a calligrapher how to do their job. And that's the point I'm making about walking away. I did walk away from this customer. She was so obnoxious. When I walked away, I said, whew, did I make a good choice? It's all right, great to walk away. Unless it's a win-win or some win in there for both of you, it is not worth it. Not that I'm telling you to walk away from all high maintenance clients. It needs a plan and it needs teamwork. Once you get to yes, and this is where your contract can be very, very helpful. There's some hints in here that can be very helpful in controlling some behaviors. Okay, you decided that this customer, you can work it out, but you need to strategize. First, it comes with awareness. When you're meeting with your client, easier in person, of course, because you get to see body language. You get to see other things that are going on, how they dress. If you want more help, reach out to me. We'll talk about getting handwriting samples to get more insight. But awareness on your part is the biggest step of knowing what you need, what you're going to face, and how to work with it. Second, assess. When they say certain things, if your gut has that uh-oh feeling, step back and think of questions. Think of some comments to make so that you're probing to get more information. If before making a commitment, this one is like a triple uh-oh, do some research on their social media. If they're high maintenance on social media, you know they're going to be high maintenance to work in person. Take a deep breath. In meditation, deep breath is cleansing. It slows our systems down. It can slow the adrenaline rush down. So it's very simple. First, you're going to interview. Second, you're going to decide. Third, you walk away or you develop a plan. The biggest thing is drama tends to be like a runaway flood coming. It's overshot the boundaries of the lake or the river or the ocean, and it drags you along. Be aware of it. Refuse to participate in the drama. That's the first thing. When the drama conversation starts, make sure to steer it away. Bring it back to the facts of the case. Bring it back to something that the client is responsible for producing, whether it's doing some research, gathering some paperwork, putting some numbers together, researching a new place that they want to move so that you can put it in your plan. But whatever it is, immediately steer the conversation away from the drama. Don't allow the drama grows like you're feeding it yeast. It just keeps going and going till it pops. If necessary, put distance between you and the drama, whether that's physical distance when you are in the room, maybe even how you talk and do things on Zoom. You pull back from your screen a little bit. That is if they are somewhat aware, that will be a clue that they need to make an adjustment in how they're talking or acting. Maybe when necessary, you need to go to caucus, you need to go to lunch, you need to reschedule, maybe even need to say, we're finished. The most important thing you can probably do that will make things easier is take the person's focus from feelings to facts. Feelings can be so vague in terms of exactly what people want to accomplish, and it can take you down a road that isn't being helpful. Facts start outlining, it acknowledges the feelings, it acknowledges the events that went on, but it starts opening up the possibility for discussions and solutions. If you find yourself tensing up, pay attention to your own body. Slowly inhale, slowly exhale. My friend Lanny and I call it the M&M, meditation and mediation. Let the annoying thoughts go and don't take it personally. And it's so easy if it triggers something of a past experience. Now going into action, clearly set your boundaries and stick to them. One of them that to very clearly stick to when you take phone calls, when you will answer voicemails, texts, and emails, put them in your contract. If they talk over you, that's another one. Watch the different things that are there. It's not strictly to communication in responses. If they talk over and you've made it very clear, everybody gets a chance to talk without being interrupted, clearly reestablish the fact that this is what you discussed, this is what they agreed to. It's easy ways to set the boundaries. Schedule your client early, frequently, and regular. This sounds counterintuitive to someone that might drive you nuts. But if you stay ahead of the curve, some people are just insecure. So if you get them early in the day, it saves you getting a lot of phone calls. Where are you? And etc. Frequently decide what that frequency is. Put it in your contract. Stay consistent with the time frame. And if you're going to go out of the time frame due to your schedule, you can send a text. I won't be available for here, but I will make myself available at this alternate time. By doing it frequent enough, you can stay ahead of some of their anxiety. So it's using communication as your secret weapon. Some strategies when communicating. If you can't remember all the steps, just remember the words. Dear man, describe the situation factually. Express your feelings and perceptions about the situation. Assert yourself. A drama person loves to take control of the reins. Do not allow them to do that. Assert yourself by asking what you want, what you need, or by saying no. And boy, after the age of 2, many of us forgot that no is an extremely powerful word. Without explanations, of course, too. Reinforce or reward positive effects on where you're going. Hey, when you did this, that really helped us to move forward. And that can make this time shorter. It doesn't have to be the long, drawn out process. Keep going that way. Way to go. Stay mindful. If you've noticed or reflect on when you've dealt with high maintenance people in the past, you tend to tune out because, oh, here we go again. Stay mindful and focus on your goals, not on, oh, how long is this going to go on? I can't wait to get out of here. Oh my gosh, 15 minutes is going so slow with this stuff going on. Focus on the goals and keep going back to, we are here to accomplish this. So ignore the distractions, including threats or attacks. And notice that I have an asterisk on that. If that threat, if you don't do this, I'm just going to stop doing the work. I'm going to stop using it. No problem. But if there are physical or emotional threats on you or attacks, please do not ignore those. Sometimes when somebody's trying to derail us to get the attention back on them, our inside, we're scrambling to how we can recontrol the situation. Even if you don't feel confident, take that deep breath. It's free. It works. Appear confident and appear effective. Grab the attention back. Excuse me, everybody. No shouting here. This is not respectful to everyone. Everyone, settle down, take your breaths, and we will start again in a few minutes, or take the caucus or breaks as you need them. Most of the time, people wind up in our practice because they don't know how to negotiate. They don't know how to see different ways of looking at situations. They might even be looking at the things the same way, just in a very limited way. Help show alternatives. If you find yourself going into a reactivity model, stop what you're doing, take 3 breaths, close your eyes and observe your body. As women, we tend to wear our shoulders like earrings. Damn, those are heavy earrings. If men tend to concentrate their anxiety in the shoulders, and the arms and their legs, look inside. If you're feeling that tenseness, something's not going right. Be aware of it, take your breaths, then proceed with kindness and compassion. Now, when I say kindness and compassion, I'm not saying you're to be a doormat. There's a limited kindness and compassion you can express. If the person is treating you with absolute rudeness, make it clear they're doing that. And if they don't, step off. You know what choices to make. There's also the give model on difficult relationships. Be gentle and courteous. Again, not a doormat. Act interested. Think again back to some of your previous experiences in dealing with a family member, a friend, a stranger, a client. When they start going into drama mode, we start tuning out. Act interested. Most children or most people, adults who have gone through childhood trauma, have never been listened to as children. And the drama has been a way of getting attention. Act interested. Pick up a few points in our conversation. I hear you saying, what does that mean to you? Why don't you give me 2 or 3 different points on that? And you're validating them. Use an easy method when you communicate. Smile. That often diffuses a lot. And use humor. When something goes sideways, well, mother told me there would be days like that. I just didn't expect to have them now. Have a few simple lines that can help diffuse a very difficult situation. Your system of reassurance, again, email on a regular, consistent basis. It doesn't mean 100 emails. It can maybe mean 3 a week. But again, make sure they're consistent. What you do with those emails, give them updates on what's been accomplished. The current portion of work you're working on and they're working on. Did you make any progress on it? This is a perfect time to give them reminders of their responsibilities. Were they supposed to research and get some material? Were they supposed to get some numbers? Were they supposed to bring paperwork? Whatever it is, make sure you remind them. High maintenance people tend to be great procrastinators. They're not sure about things. They tend to put off deadlines. Don't make your deadlines too soft. Make sure they're very clear. Redline them if you need to. And if I can emphasize, when you have a high maintenance person, try and make sure you leave a paper trail. If they say, oh, you didn't do, oh, you may not have remembered that we did such and such on a day. Check your email, check the list we went over on such and such a date. Whether it's texting, emails, written communications are going to be your best friend. Use your contract and emails to set up and reinforce expectations, because high maintenance people will start making the job bigger and bigger. Keep it to the boundaries of your contract. Make that clear. Set up a schedule to make phone calls. That sometimes can eliminate a lot of extra phone calls. Inform your client of the policies. You're not going to return the phone call in 15 seconds. I pick up my calls from voicemail at certain time of day, or it depends on what you're doing. If you're traveling, email and text. But if they know when to expect an answer, you may already be cutting down a plethora of phone calls. If you're getting scope creeped, that is, a person's not respecting the agreements of your contract, or they're saying you didn't do, and you didn't do isn't even part of the contract, make yourself unavailable. We're also going to talk about gray rocking method at the end here. I'll explain that detail later. So set your boundaries clearly and stick to them. And if you think that boundaries aren't important, boundaries make your life a lot easier. It helps you see if you've been a people pleaser. It also helps people understand exactly how far they can go. And if you put the stop sign up when they've crossed them, they either respect you or they walk away. We've already talked about how frequently to schedule, over communicate. Listen to unmet needs. Again, if there's been childhood trauma, their needs have not been met. And sometimes they don't know how to explain it. If you dig a little bit deeper, you reframe some of the comments, sometimes they can come back with, I was thinking about what you said, and I understand a little bit better what I need to do to come to a successful conclusion with our mediation. Do yes and practice defenselessness. They'll go, you. Yes, and what else did you think didn't happen here? Or, yes, and remember, we agreed in our contract that that was not part of this particular process we're working on. Practice defenselessness, put a smile on. It helps relax your body. It helps diffuse the person's anxiety. I'm not saying everything works all the time, but try it out now and then and see what it does for you. Give your clients a great experience. Sometimes they're high maintenance because they worked in a high anxiety situation and they may have been thoroughly dismissed or misunderstood. Your goal is to give a great experience, not through people pleasing. Give them clear homework assignments in writing. And give them an opportunity to ask questions if they don't feel the assignment is clear. Because the first excuse they'll use, I didn't understand what you meant. Always make it very clear that you will entertain questions to clarify things. Not the 1,000-question game, not the $1 million pyramid where you can go to friends for everything. But do make sure that they understand the assignments. Ask them a few questions if they're not asking anything, but make sure, and then make sure they're clear about the deadlines. We've already talked about the scope creep. With a person that's anxious and not very confident, they're going to see monsters under the bed that you did not take care of for them. Know where your work is and make sure you set the boundaries. And I'm repeating it because all of that's so important. Sometimes you just have to consider saving your breath. We've learned that if we've had children, there are certain times they are not listening. You just save your breath, look for another opportunity to be able to bring up the point. Do, however, keep track mentally that if you're saving your breath a lot and you're not getting anywhere, you might have some other decisions to make. This is the tough part. The idea of this program today was to try and identify high maintenance people so you don't have to fire them. But if they are threatening you, they are not doing their work, they're just sitting there and they are not responding, they are just absolutely obnoxious, you might want to consider firing them. It is so important to know when I work with artists and other people setting up businesses, when we do our business plan, in that business plan is what is your exit plan? You don't want to set up a business, mortgage your house, ransom off your children, and sell everything before you finally realize you are in so deep, you're never getting out. Have a plan before you get into a contract with this person. It doesn't have to be in the contract that you will be out by a certain point. But start being aware of where your limits are. And they're different for every one of us. Some can tolerate a heck of a lot more. They're laid back and easygoing. But everyone has a limit. And no one wants to be pushed to the point of, I had a judge that wasn't so, he didn't have any morals. He was building a house next to us, stealing electricity, damaging our property without asking. I let that going on, being real nice for a long time. After several years, he came to the house and asked if he could dig on our property again to tie in something. He was getting contractors who came into court and going into chambers to work out free deals. Well, he shows up and I said, no, you can't dig. Please use a phone. This is before cell phones. And we have a wedding here. I just paid to have all the damage cleaned up. Find out what you can do otherwise from the town, but you can't dig. Now I'm in my hot pink robe, rollers in my hair. I live up on the mountainside of the street. So now I'm on the second floor, 30 stairs going down, and he digs in the property. I went flying down those stairs. Now, no one even heard me in my neighborhood say, damn it. I went flying down with every single word that shouldn't have been said. And that night a neighbor came over and said, we just had a meeting of the Elegant Lady Society and we elected you president. Girl, we didn't know you had it in you, but you did tell them what we all felt. Never, ever get pushed to that point. You don't want to get pushed to a point where you regret things. So if you're feeling drained emotionally, physically, you're starting to have health issues, when you're ready to myrtleize your client, that's what my parents would tell us. We're going to myrtleize you if you keep that up. If you find yourself angry, frustrated, disrespect, controlled, you're ready to tell them off and be embarrassed. If they're not responding to boundaries, communication requests, there's a lack of trust, you're not moving forward, lack of participation. If they are maligning your reputation, and you can put that in your contract, if there's disagreements, you work it out between you. Nothing negative goes out on social media. A narcissist is even more difficult to work with, but we are learning ways to work with them. I didn't want another list for you, so if you want to take this website down, it had some easy ways to work. If you didn't want to read through the book by Wendy Bahari. If someone gets to be such a royal pain in the patootie, use the gray rock method, or it's called gray rocking. Just start acting disinterested, and it can be with more than a narcissist. Emotionally detached. It undermines their ability to control everything. It reduces conflict and abuse, and maybe they'll even be so unhappy that they can't control you, they'll quit on you. That's okay. But you learn enough from this program so that you won't have to go that far. Remember, some people are so hurt as a youngster or some point in their life, that's all they know how to operate as. They are high maintenance people are an absolute distraction. They can steal time so that you're not working with your other clients and not developing your own business. You have to assess your own risk. Profit doesn't just mean money. Is it gaining experience, or are you losing time? You're losing any. You're not the therapist. Let the family, let whoever they decide, let the therapist save the drama for the therapist. If it doesn't work out, I always say nothing is a failure. Learn more about their complaints. You can learn to tune your fine pitch from your complainers. You also find your own tolerance limits. And if your customer is right, it's an opportunity to evaluate, readjust your attitude, how you contributed to the situation. A lot of people are still not tech savvy, so it can help you with your website and your apps. And we all know how that can work out sometimes to our absolute frustration. This is a cliche, but I wanted to make the point that you're going to keep holding the hand and giving in to the person who's very, very drama oriented. They're always going to keep asking for more and keeping up the scope creep. You want to contain the situation to the business at hand. Know when it's time to say no. We all certainly want to get to yes. There's no doubt about that. But we can't do it with everyone and all the time. And it's okay to admit when you need to take a break and say, let them go. Because when you let them go or you fire them, like I had with the calligraphy situation, I can't tell you the relief that you finally have. You want to be out of there before you get to that point. After all, some people are like clouds. When they disappear, it's a brighter day. Well, I want to thank you all. We'll have questions and answers to go through. And there's also a list here of reference material. These are not the only ones, and I be careful of going online. There's a lot of quackery in there. But if you see the licensing of some of the people who um, have some ideas, sometimes you'll be reading it just at the very time you need to be reading it and work on it. If you can go back to these two. But if you go away from this, A, take a deep breath. B, know it's okay to walk away from a situation or even stand up to a situation and say, not taking it. Okay, I'm back.
Well, thank you, Terry. That was very interesting. I have no doubt that we all learned something. I learned a lot of terms there that I've never heard of before, like gray. What was it? Gray rocking?
Gray rocking, or
Gray rock.
using the gray rock method. And that's gray is a neutral color in decorating terms. And it says, okay, the drama person feeds on the yeast of attention. Either stop it or minimize it. And when they don't have an audience, they generally turn and look for another one. Their need is to have that attention so badly.
All right, so I'm going to give everybody the code, which I was going to use a new word. I was really tempted to go with magniloquence, but I decided against it. So,
Okay.
So the code for today is boundaries. Boundaries is the code. If you want CLE credits for today, please send me an email directly at bmetez@wgpllp.com. I'll do that again. I'll put it in the chat so everybody can see it. It's okay. bmetez@wgpllp.com.
Hold on.
And we will entertain questions. There were no questions in the Q&A. So if anybody has a question they want to ask, please raise your virtual hand and I will call on you and I will figure out a way to let you speak. But I have a question for you, Terry. Because all through this, it occurred to me that we spent a lot of time talking about the high maintenance person. What do we say in a mediation to the other party who's not high maintenance, who's complaining about the fact that the high maintenance person is clearly high maintenance and is usurping all of your time and energy and really, like, spending all this money on dealing with having you deal with the high maintenance issues?
A couple of things. As we went through the program here, it was how to make sure you were in charge. And if there is the person who often is sacrificed in a relationship with a high maintenance person. You can make sure, A, that the party that feels they're getting shortchanged, that they're being heard, making sure that the high maintenance person is being contained and reminded of the rules of engagement. We're here to listen. Each person listens without interruption. And if the high maintenance person's going on and on and on, the mediator can pull it back and say, let's refocus on the facts. So remember the part you have in being in control of the hearing. And make sure to recognize that if the other person says they're always getting everything their own way, and they're clearly, they're at the table because they're so frustrated. Look, I'm a neutral person. I'm here to help both parties work, and I am going to work with you both to make sure that each party is heard fairly. That's your part of it. If the other person is constantly interrupting and taking off, we have caucus, lunch break, finish for the day, reschedule. Or if they're constantly doing it, saying, look, this is not working out with us. Maybe you need to take a break or find someone else, whatever that is. Think a few steps out in advance with the situation so that you have an opportunity to make a decision, not by the seat of your pants, but because you're ready to go fit an answer to the situation.
Okay, thank you. Anju has a question. So Anju, go ahead. You got to unmute yourself.
Hi, Terry. Excellent presentation.
Thank you, Andrew.
So I was in a mediation, which was online. Not only was the husband difficult, but his attorney was combative, and the wife was pro se. And that mediation ended up breaking down because the attorney wanted to be right no matter what. Even his own client, I could see, was getting frustrated with him. I'll give you an example. He told me that my child support guidelines were all wrong. There was a $3 a week difference between the way I calculated guidelines and he did. And I tried to point out that it was a really de minimis situation, really, you know. And but he insisted on telling me I was wrong. Your guidelines are all wrong. So I mean, the facts were irrelevant in that situation. Is there anything I could have done differently? Could I have said you're right? You know, could I have ignored it? You know, you play back it's always the cases that don't settle that are you learn more from. But you know, definitely, is there any other way I could have handled not only a difficult client, but a combative attorney and the wife on the other side who was fairly reasonable, but was becoming unreasonable because she was also frustrated?
You brought up a couple good ways to handle it. First of all, you were dealing with a person that is always going to come out with, I'm always going to be right and you're wrong. And that is a power play. You can go back with sometimes telling them they're right, just makes them step back and go, whoa, they're not used to hearing it. They're ready for battle. And some people just love to battle for the sake of battling. One of the things you could have said was, you're right. This part and this part are right. And the $3, let's not make an issue out of something that is a non-issue. That can be worked on. But if they keep going at, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, then the key thing to do here is to say, especially if they're interrupting, you're talking out of turn. We're here to listen. We don't want to hear everything that's wrong. We're already here for that. Now, what can you tell me that will make this go right? What are some ideas that you see for your client that will make this go right? Sort of grasp it back in terms of you're in charge of the hearing. This person's so used to being in control. I remember having an arbitration. The lawyer kept jumping in every time. And I said, we're not in a regular court. You agreed to these rules when we started the hearing. We are going by them. So everybody gets heard. Everybody works this out. And it's in fairness. Sometimes, Sanju, when you've got that type of person, there isn't a thing you can do. If you've tried several things, it's just, this person isn't working here. You're right. It seems like you like to be right about a lot of things, but here's where we need to be right. Let's work out the best for our clients here.
Okay. Thank you for that.
You're right. And it's not always going to work out, but if you've tried all those things, one of the things that you have to feel good about, and I hate to say have to, you did your best. There's just some people that are going to be a match and be difficult. And no matter what you put out there, that's all they're going to be, is difficult. Is that worth your time?
No, I think it's always easier once you've had that situation to be better prepared for it the next time. And that's really the best you can take away is were I in that situation again, I would be, I would handle it differently.
Right. And we can't project every single experience we're going to go through. If we can step back and say, ooh, that was a tough one. How would I do it better in the future? We've learned something. That's always valuable.
Exactly. I mean, I was just really shocked at the level of frankly, rudeness that I was dealing with. That
Rudeness on top of arrogance. That's a dangerous combination. A very dangerous combination. Don't feel that after you've tried a number of things to grasp the situation back, if they're going to keep going at it, they are just there to say, I have a bigger sword than you, and I'm going to keep cutting you down. That's not a game. You don't want to be in a pissing contest.
Thank you.
Nobody wins in it. Thank you, Anju. That was a really good highlight situation. I appreciate you asking. Bruce, you're on mute.
I'm muted. Thanks, Anju. Does anybody else have any questions or comments that you want to add before we conclude for the day? So I don't see any questions in the Q&A, and I don't see any hands being raised. So Terry, again, thank you so much for a really informational, like it was a lot. This was chock full of information, like really good information. I learned a lot of good stuff that I certainly intend to use in my mediation practice. I hope everybody else did as well. So thank you. And I know you spent a lot of time putting this together. So thanks very much for doing that. Again, I'll remind everybody, the CLE code was boundaries. If you have an idea for a webinar that you'd like to see for next year, please send me an email and let me know. I'm going to start working on the lineup for next year for September to June. I've already got one suggestion already. Anju's asking me to remind everybody to please register for the Divorce and Civil Seminar on the 9th annual Divorce and Family Seminar Divorce and Civil Seminar on May 3rd. Again, it is Friday. Is it Friday? That's Friday, May 3rd from morning till afternoon. I think it was 9 to 4, something like that. Sorry if I got the times wrong. Online only. Please register online and you can get more information online about that. So thanks again, Terry. Everybody have a wonderful week. Enjoy what I hope is some nice weather that I brought home from California with me. I don't know. It's going to be a little cold this week, but springtime is almost upon us. So thanks everybody for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Bruce. Thanks everyone for being here. Have a
All
good
right,
one.
thanks, Terry. Take care.